What's up guys, it's Topsy coming to you with some breaking SpeedDuel news. So apparently the Battle City final set has been fully revealed on the Konami card database. And oh my god, I just have to talk about this because I took a quick glance and my goodness, this set looks absolutely insane. Some of the choices of cards that Konami's giving us are absolutely nutty, and it's just it goes I can't even like manifest the words to go and describe just how wild this set is. So, from the glances that I did take, it seems like a few of my predictions were pretty spot on regarding the set, but there were some other choices with character decks that were completely off, and it's going to be really interesting to go ahead and reflect on that. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick dive and just discuss what exactly this means for speed duels, my thoughts, and everything else in between. Alright, enough rambling. Let's dive right in. Okay, so here we are on the Konami database, and starting off we can see Yugi's deck, and it seems like, at least from what I'm looking at right now, that each of the Egyptian god cards are going to be included in each of the character decks. So that's reassuring. That is one of the things that I did predict regarding this set, that these cards were going to be like cards included into the strategy of each character deck. So that's at least cool to see. Alright, so let's continue. So of course we already knew that we were going to be getting the King, the Queen, and the Jack's Knight, and the Joker Knights as well. This was one of the promotional cards that they had advertised, and then of course if we're getting this, we were obviously going to be getting these guys. However, the Imperial Bower and the Arcana Triumph Joker, this is wild. I genuinely did not expect for us to get these cards. I thought Joker's Knight was more than enough regarding the Arcana Knight Joker's like archetype. And getting the Imperial Bower along the Arcana Triumph of Joker, this seems pretty ridiculous. Honestly, and the thing is, spoiler alert, there's a lot more support regarding this archetype in Yugi's deck alone. So I'm already predicting that this is going to be a pretty damn good deck in Speed Duels as the format, especially if they end up getting a skill revolving around this deck as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. Moving down some more, we'll see cards like Big Shield Garna, Obnoxious Celtic Guardian. I predicted these cards were going to be printed in Yugi's deck as well as some of his Legacy Warrior support, so it's really nice to see them. I don't think there's going to be much impact on the format, but it is nice to see these cards. Continuing on, we also have the Breaker, the Dark Magician, and the Dark Magician Girl. I am surprised that they gave us these cards just because they feel like shoehorned into the strategy, but nevertheless, it is nice to see that we are getting some alternative artworks for them. At least I hope that this is what it means. And you know what? It's going to be welcomed for Speed Duels. However, there's one card right here that I am befuddled that we're actually getting, that being the Magikuribo. And honestly, this card I genuinely didn't think was a realistic card to come into Speed Duels, just because of just how annoying it is during the battle phase. Being able to special summon Dark Magician fairly often and really effectively is going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be broken, more just annoying. So it's going to be really interesting to see. I can definitely see this card being huge for the Arcana deck with Dark Magician, so I don't know, maybe there's something there. So that's going to be interesting to experiment with. Let's move on, and that's the monsters. Overall, I am very surprised with the Arcana support. These cards were pretty wild choices alongside the Magikuribo. So Konami is on something. Alright, onto the spell cards, we have the Swords of Revealing Light. That was, of course, pretty easy to predict with Yugi. However, Monster Reborn is absolutely insane. This is one of those cards that I did not expect it to come into Speed Duels. Especially because we're getting this, and it's going to be at 3 in the format until Konami addresses it in a ban list. So, I'm already expecting for the format to be just all out of whack. It's going to be ridiculous, especially with Monster Reborn at 3 in every deck. So expect this card, once the ban list rolls around, for it to get hit to like 1, and that's going to be one of the limited staples, I suppose. Thunder Speed Summon is really nice to see. I'm glad that we ended up getting this as support for the Slifer alongside the Arcana Triumph Joker, so that's pretty cool. I did call this, so I am happy to see it here. Spell Shattering Arrows. I'm not surprised to see this card. This was one of the cards that I ended up giving to Yugi in my Duelist Kingdom deck for him. So it is cool to see it here. I thought it was going to be MST, but I'm happy with this. Moving down some more. This is what I mean. Joker's Wild and Court of Cards. It's honestly, they pretty much gave you the whole archetype for this deck, and it's pretty insane. I do think this is going to be a very dominant strategy in the format, so we'll see if I'm wrong, but I think there's just too much going on for this deck not to be good in speed duels. A card that is really surprising for me too is Quaking Mirror Force. I don't know. Here's the thing about this set. While I was taking a look at it, I felt like there's a lot of really like underwhelming picks for Konami made, while adding some absolutely batshit crazy cards as well as like Quaking Mirror Force and Monster Reborn. And I can't I don't understand Konami's philosophy with building some of these character decks. Quaking is insane, especially with it being unlimited right now. I expect this card to get hit to 3 or 2 in the future ban list as well. Just because this card is, in my opinion, better than a card like Sakuretsu Armor. It's a more broken version of Book of Moon. Book of Moon is better in my opinion, just because it's more versatile, but nevertheless, Quaking Mirror Force is going to be really annoying. So expect this card to see like staple play in the future. And Dust Tornado is another piece of removal, so that's cool. Overall, Yugi's deck is pretty wild. I think I had the right idea when building his strategy, but I did not expect for Konami to like triple down on this whole archetype. It's pretty insane the amount of support they gave them. I am surprised that they didn't get the Arcana Knight Joker, the fusion. That's what I thought was gonna be one of the building blocks of the deck, but to my surprise, it wasn't. So that was interesting to see, and to see that Arcana Triumph Joker was the boss monster of the deck instead, alongside the Slifer. So that's pretty cool. I feel like this is going to be pretty problematic in my opinion, but I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Moving on to Kaiba's deck now, and of course we do have the Obelisk the Tormentor, the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and the King of Dragons. And this is really cool. In my original thoughts, I did consider that Kaiba was going to be getting the Union stuff, and I'm not wrong. For Kaiba's deck, they ended up getting a pile strategy. So let's continue. We have the Death Pharaoh Imp, Ancient Lamp. That's a wild pick right there. I did not think this card was ever going to get printed, but of course we also have the Legion there as well. I don't think these cards are going to make... These are going to be negligible cards in the format. Death Pharaoh Imp is just kind of neat. But yeah, here it is. The X-Head, the White Dragon, and the Z-Metal Tank. This deck so far looks very reminiscent of the original Battle City deck, so that's kind of neat. I'm surprised that they didn't have one dedicated direction with Kaiba's strategy. It seems to be all over the place, so that's interesting to me. So let's move down some more. Here we have the spell lineup, and Enemy Controller is awesome. This was one of the cards that I thought he was going to end up getting, so I am glad to see that here. Shrink, it's very nice to see the reprint for this card. It's been needed for a while now. And Union Hanger as well. I personally missed out on getting the original Battle City box, so I am glad to see a lot of these cards from his original strategy are getting reprinted, specifically for me. But I can definitely see people being upset about the cards chosen for Kaiba's deck here, just because they might not be what they wanted to see. So I can definitely see an argument for that. So far, I think it's kind of neat. Kaiba's deck looks a lot more underwhelming compared to Yugi's, just because his seems so like targeted as to what it's trying to do. All right, let's continue with spells. We have the Flute of Summoning Dragons, Revival Rhapsody, and Trade-In. These are some wild picks for his deck. Revival Dragon, Rhapsody, and Trade-In are really cool. This makes sense, especially when you take into consideration that we have the the King of Dragons, my bad. That's gonna be really cool. It is kind of it's a really strong card, so that's surprising, especially when you pair it up with the Trade-In. Again, the building philosophy for decks with Konami feels really off here. It's just some cards just don't really make sense because they feel very powerful. Onto the traps now. We have the Union Scramble as a reprint, Shadow Spell, Loop of Destruction, and Champion's Vigilance. So Loop of Destruction is an interesting one that we're getting here. I had predicted that we're going to be getting Ring of Destruction, the original one, but instead we got Loop. Honestly, this card is interesting. It does a lot less burn damage, so I can definitely see why they chose this over the original. So I don't hate it. So I guess I'm like half a point for choosing Ring of Destruction, but you know, who's keeping track anyway? One of the interesting things here that I wanted to mention is that he didn't end up getting the YZ tank, dragon tank, or what's called. I forget the name of it. But the other Union monster, it's not in the lineup. It seems like Konami forgot to add it in or something. I looked back at my video and I had also forgotten to do that as well, so that's kind of funny. Maybe they just forgot to add it here and it's actually in the box, but because it'd be hilarious if it's actually just not in the set at all. It just seems like a wild card to miss out on. So that's just something interesting that that I ended up noticing. Kaiba's deck is pretty cool. Personally for me, I don't love it as a sealed strategy, but I do like it as a collection of cards for the broader card pool in speed duels. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff to experiment here with, but when playing like in a sealed format, I don't know if this would be like my first choice as like a deck to choose. All right, now on to Joey, and Joey's deck was one of the harder ones to predict when I was doing this. Just because it felt really misguided, I guess. So it seems like they went ahead and doubled down again on warriors for Joey, with cards like Gil for the Lightning, Total Defense Shogun, of course we have Jinzo, like the best card in this deck, Absolute Crusader, Blue Flame Swordsman, a great card that we're getting. I'm really happy to see this here. We've needed this for a while. It's just a neat card, and I'm happy to see it here. A Valkyrian Knight, it's another nice and neat choice. Penguin Soldier, that's a crazy pick for Joey specifically. I was not expecting to see this at all. DD Warrior is another insane choice for Joey. Honestly, Joey's deck is a lot more random. But honestly, I kind of like it. The way it's built. It's a lot of warrior stuff here. And some neat choices like Penguin Soldier, Jinzo. So I kind of like it. It's neat. I do like the fact that Guilford was a card in here because one of my thoughts was each of the characters would have like a 3 tribute monster. You know, Yugi, Kaiba, and Marik get their Egyptian god cards, and Joey gets Guilford the Lightning. You know, it's kind of neat. So it's nice to see here. Overall, the monster lineup is okay. There was I feel like really off on Joey's. This is like all over the place. It's not as centralized as I thought it was going to be. Oh, also, no Panther Warrior. What the hell, Konami? I was expecting cards like Panther Warrior and like Hayabusa Knight to be included here just because he played them during that arc. So I was like fully expecting it, but no signs of these. I feel like you could have just replaced like Invader of the Throne with the Panther Warrior, or even Gilfrey, because we've already gotten him like literally the set before this. Well, Streets of Battle City, or Command Knight even. So it would have been nice to see those cards instead, but you know, that's just me. Sol and Luna is a wild pick. I was not expecting this card whatsoever. It's really interesting for the format, in my opinion. This is going to be one of those cards that people are going to be taking in when they can't play Book of Moon themselves, because for the most part, I think Book of Moon is still a better card, but this has a lot more versatility for people that want to play flip control strategies, so that's going to be kind of neat. So expect this card to see experimental play. I'll definitely be giving it a try. Fissure's a funny choice. I'm not going to lie, I have no idea whether or not this card is actually in the format right now, so I don't know. But if it's not, it's a whatever card, and if it is, it's still a whatever card. Of course, Rhoda, United We Stand, if Fusion Sword of Musara Blade. So yeah, it's the pretty standard Joey cards. Trap Hole with Spikes, another really cool card that I was hoping Joey would get. Fairy Box, Floodgate Trap Hole, Kunai with Chain, and Blast with Chain. Um, as a whole, I think I really like Joey's deck. It looks pretty interesting. Um, pretty vanilla in my opinion. When it comes to like the monster lineup, but I think it's a sealed deck. It's pretty good. It feels pretty damn good. The trap cards are not bad at all. The equip spells feel really nice as well. And Sol Luna, I think again, I think it's like a sleeper card. It's gonna be pretty good in the format. And overall, not bad. I don't hate it. I kind of like it actually. Onto Marik now, and man, I wish I would have doubled down and put the Winged Dragon of Ra in Sphere mode in the original deck I built for him, because they actually did it. The Mad Lads at Konami did it. This is super surprising. Not that these cards are in the set, but they're in the deck for him. So that's gonna be kind of cool to see. Holding Arms is one another card that I was surprised they ended up printing. So yeah, Holding Arms is a really interesting card that we ended up getting for Marik, just because this card seems like it doesn't feel like it fits in speed duels, just because it's kind of floodgatey in this way it works. But I guess it's not the worst card ever. I'm just kind of surprised, is all. I'm happy to see that my prediction that Makiora, Lord Poison, Lakunga, and Grenadora were all cards included in his strategy. I did end up choosing these cards in his deck, and I'm glad that I was right. Rewatching the anime, it made too much sense these cards would be included if they were following the Battle City Finals set arc of the series. Of course, we already knew Lava Golem was going to be there. I'm surprised that they went ahead and gave us both Revival Jam and Reactor Slime. I would have preferred they replaced Revival Jam with literally anything else, but you know, we have it here. He has to represent the other rare hunters, I guess, so that's neat. Dark Geroid and Nudoria, two cards that I also predicted in this deck. I think this is probably the one that I was the closest to predicting correctly. And the main reason I didn't hit on more cards is just because I did not double down on these cards included in this deck. Onto the spell cards. This is where things just went off the rails. Millennium Revelations, Owner Seal, and Remove Trap. I was not expecting any of these cards in here. Remove Trap, I can see why. He played this card like a surprising amount of times during his arc. So, but I just didn't think Konami was gonna print this card. Especially when you see it compared to like Malevolent Catastrophe right next to it. This is what I mean. It's like, we'll get like great cards like these, but also like shit cards like these in the same set, which is really funny to me. Hidden Soldier is pretty nice, pretty neat card to see. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen this card actually printed IRL, so it's gonna be pretty neat seeing it when the box comes out. Nightmare Wheel and Metal Reflex were pretty easy predictions for his deck as well, so that's kind of nice. One thing that I'm a little upset about is that Egyptian God Slime wasn't one of the cards included in his deck. I low-key thought that we could get that, but it seems like Konami didn't think so as well, which surprises me because they've been making some more wild choices than mine with some of these cards in the set, so kind of interesting to see in my opinion. Onto Bakura, we have the Dark Necrophere, Dark Ruler Hades. Invader of Darkness is an interesting choice as well. It's neat. It's a classic card from Invasion of Chaos, so you know, it's kind of like a whatever card in my opinion. Doom Caliber Knight, I'm glad that I predicted this. Snipe Hunter, this is insane. I did tinker with the idea of Bakura getting Snipe Hunter when I was like pondering the character decks, but it kind of just seemed like one of those cards that it did too much. Being able to essentially like discard as much as you want to get rid of your opponent's field seems kind of nutty to me, especially in speed duels. But the Mad Lads did it, you know, like we have Sniper Hunter in the format. This is another card. I expect this card to get hit in some way, shape, or form in the ban list, especially because of the card underneath it, Sangan. Sangan was a card that I predicted, and I am happy to see that we actually are getting it. I felt like it was the more balanced version of Witch, so I'm glad to see it here. However, Finish War Rhino Warrior was a card that I was not expecting at all. I don't really know what the target is for him to mill to the graveyard, but I guess we'll find out later once people start tinkering around with the deck more in the future. Winged Minion, Jowls of Demise, and Doomduck Orkros. These are cool choices, especially this one. I like this because it can search out the Dark Necrophager, so that's pretty neat. Fusion Devourer, I have zero clue why this card's here. This card is not good. I mean, it's a fiend, it's a dark fiend at that, I guess. But like, the effect is just very irrelevant, so I don't know why that's here. Alright then, so let's move on down some more, and so okay, so the Destiny board cards. I had predicted in my original video that we were going to be getting all of them in this set, and I did receive some pushback from in that video of people saying that they thought it was going to be more of a skill than anything else. So it does feel vindicating to see that Konami actually ended up printing it. This just seemed like a Konami move in my opinion, so I am glad to see that these cards were actually here. And yeah, and Dark Sanctuary wasn't the card. That's what my prediction was, that we were going to be getting the Destiny board cards instead of Dark Sanctuary, and Dark Sanctuary was going to be the skill instead. So it's pretty cool to see that that's what actually ended up happening. We also got the Dark Spirit Mastery, Spiritualism. Premature Burial is ridiculous. Not only Reborn, but Premature Burial as well. It's going to be harder to abuse in speed duels just because I don't know if there's that many ways to like bounce this card back to your hand. But nevertheless, wild pick to be printed in speed. So it's just, I'm just, I don't know what to say with this. So far this set has been pretty insane. Sentence of Doom and Zoma the Spirit. I'm surprised that I didn't pick Zoma for Bakura's deck. It feels like a blender on my side, but you know, we are where we are. Overall, Bakura's deck looks pretty cool. The middle part right here kind of like threw me off. It's kind of like some really interesting choices, I guess. But as a whole, I think I like it. I think it's pretty cool, especially if you pair it up with a decent skill. I could definitely see this deck being really, really fun to play. On to Ishizu now, and Ishizu's deck is, it's pretty nutty. The way this is constructed, not because of the power level of it. So of course we have the Medora, we already knew this, but we also have the Agido, the Kelbeck, the Medora, and the Keldo and Zolga. Alright, I predicted that all these cards were going to be printed, and Agido, I believe, was going to be the new card here, along the Medora. So I'm glad to see I was right there. Cataclysm was a card that I did not predict, just because it didn't look like a card that Ishizu would use in the anime, and that's the main reason. So I'm surprised that they added it in, but I think it fits the deck really well, if that makes sense. Moving down some more, yeah, okay. I'm surprised they gave us Parshept again. Parshept has been printed like 40 times already, it feels like. It's a great card. I love Parshept, but I'm just surprised that they gave us Parshept in her deck. But this is the doozy. They built a Earth Fairy Gravekeeper strategy for her, which is interesting. Was not expecting that at all. So that's kind of cool to see. And one card in particular you're going to notice here is that Gravekeeper's Commandant is a card included here, which means that we're getting Necro Valley in her deck, which is kind of wild. This right here makes Gravekeepers a actual viable strategy in Speed Duel, and I'm definitely going to be building Gravekeepers at some point in the future, because Commandant, Spy, Descendant, Recruiter, Oracle, we already had Oracle, and Recruiter, but definitely there's some building blocks for Gravekeepers, and it could be pretty decent. All right, of course we have already expected the Necro Valley. Drag Down into the Grave is a really cool choice. I did predict that, so it is cool to see it there. Bashing Shield, that's an interesting choice. I thought we were going to be getting the Earth Fairy Equip spell instead, so interesting choice. Onto the trap cards, we have the Exchange of the Spirit, Graveyard's Trap, Wall of Disruption, Rite of Spirit, and Blast held by Tribute. Yeah, a lot of the choice, a few of these choices or cards that I thought she was going to end up getting, the Exchange of Spirit, the Graveyard Trap Hole, and the Blast held Tribute, those are pretty easy for me to predict, just because they made too much sense in the strategy. But the Wall of Disruption and Rite of Spirit, not so much. Mainly just because I didn't think we're going to be getting a hybrid deck for her. Overall, I think this might be my favorite one so far. Just because I like Gravekeepers as a strategy. I think they're kind of cool. And I'm pretty partial to the Earth Fairy cards as well. So I'll definitely have a lot of fun building a Ishizu deck in the future. Moving down from Ishizu, we have Odion, and Odion is interesting because you'll see it right here. We have Pac-Man back in the format. So yeah, Mystical Beast of Sekur. I think this was like an easy pick for him just because it was such a integral part of his duel against Joey. So that was pretty cool to see that I was right. Guardian Sphinx. Well, they gave him Pac-Man, so I'm not surprised to see that here, along with the Storm of Centipedes, Scarabs, Locust, and Deslicuda. This is kind of neat to see, just because I never got to play these cards in Speed Duels, just because they were in the original set. So it is nice to see them here as again. In addition, Gravekeepers Guard's another great addition for Gravekeepers. So that's kind of cool. Pretty neat monster lineup. Not at all what I was expecting. Onto the spell cards, and this is again a wild pick. Mirage and Nightmares. What is Konami doing? What are they cooking? Who thought Mirage and Nightmares was a good idea? And it is funny that they also have the Mystical Space Typhoon to pair it up there, so they know the combo. So that's just wild. There's a lot of cards here that I'm just absolutely flabbergasted by. Why are we getting some of these broken cards in Speed Duel? They just feel so out of place. Yeah, oh man, yeah, this card's definitely getting hit at some point. I can definitely see that, especially in with our decks being so small. It's just, there's no way you're not gonna be able to pull off the combo where you just like pop it before your main phase, where you're forced to discard the cards that you drew. So this is gonna be problematic. I know that already. Let's take a look at the trap cards now. We have the Embodiment of Apophis, Tiki Curse, Tiki Soul. I'm glad to see these cards here. I like these cards a lot. But I can see that the Statue of Anguish wasn't included, or the other copy of Apophis that's like the evolved form of it. I was expecting those cards to be included in this deck just because I felt like they were relatively around the power level that we should see in Speed Duels. But I guess Konami had different plans. Ordeal of a Traveler is a cool card. I'm surprised that Odion's the one getting it, but I mean, Guardian Sphinx is a card in the deck and it has the heart of it, so it makes sense. Waboku, I did not think he was going to be getting. I thought this was going to be more of an Ishizu card, but it's cool to see. At least Waboku is getting printed, so that's nice. And Judgment of Anubis and Curse of Anubis were two cards that I thought were pretty easy to predict as well. So pretty neat. As a whole, I think this is another pretty interesting strategy. I wouldn't mind playing this in a sealed environment either. I don't know how well this deck facilitates the Pac-Man strategy. So that's going to be interesting. But nevertheless, cool choices. This is like the out there pick though. Mirage and Nightmares, insane. I don't get it. Alright, moving on to Mai now. And yeah, Mai is going hard on those Harpies. We have the Harpie's Pet Dragon, Harpie's Dancer, Queen, and Channeler. These are crazy picks for Harpie. These are going to be great for the strategy. It's going to make it a lot better. This is going to be incredibly fun. I am looking forward to playing Harpies in the upcoming format. Funny to see that they gave us Harpie Lady 1, 2, skip 3, and go straight to Harpie Lady to Cyber Harpie Lady instead. So that's really, really funny to see. I'm pretty sure Harpie Lady 3 has a really bad effect anyway, so not super surprised, but it is funny to see though. Of course, we have the Harpie Lady Sisters. I'm not surprised there. But I was correct in this prediction that it was going to be a hybrid strategy with the Amazonesses as well. Surprised to see Princess though. Princess is a wild choice just because it gives the deck so much more synergy. Being a searchable warrior off Rhoda, being a play starter, it's just a great card. And it's going to be a lot worse once you see what are the cards that they give her in addition to this. But Chainmaster, Swordswoman were cards that are pretty easy to predict. Amazona's Queen threw me off though. I was not expecting this card at all, but it's kind of a cool card to see anyway. It does feel a little redundant just because Amazona's Princess also takes the name Queen while on the field. So it feels, you know, redundant, as I said. So that's interesting to see. Onto the spell cards, Hysteric Sign, that's an interesting choice. It makes the Harpie strategy way better because Egoist is so easy to get access to now. Hunting Ground, that was expected. Amazoness Call, this is a cool choice for the Amazons. Was not expecting it though. Especially with the Princess. With Princess being in the deck, this deck is going to be really, really strong. You know what? Let's cut to the chase. Onslaught. With Amazoness Call, cards like Rhoda, Princess, and Onslaught in the game, this Amazoness is a real strategy. They also have cards like Village already in the format, and a lot of other Amazoness cards in the card pool as well. So I definitely see Amazoness being able to make some noise in the format once everything settles down and people start figuring out how to build these decks. And same applies to Harpies. Harpies seem to have a lot going on as well. The Hysteric Sign is huge. The Channeler as well, the Queen. These are going to be all big picks for the deck, especially for the consistency in power output. So I'm looking forward to I'm definitely building Harpies and Amazonas at some point as well. So yeah, no, this is a pretty insane box so far. Let alone without even looking at the miscellaneous characters. The 8 character decks have a lot of crazy picks that I was not expecting. And I think I had the right idea with some of the characters that I was building. I was, I guess, zoned in too much on each deck having one coherent path they were going to be taking, instead of having everything be kind of like a hybrid, I guess. So that's on me. But as a whole, so far, I think this set looks better than Streets of Battle City. And Streets of Battle City, in my opinion, was a great set. Not my favorite set, but it's still a phenomenal set. This set, however, has... I don't know. It feels weird just because a lot of the picks so far have been out of this... so out of pocket. Cards like Monster Reborn, Premature Burial, the what's it called? It was the Bakura card. No, the Odion card, my bad. Yeah, the Mirage and Nightmares. There's just a lot of really crazy cards that we're getting in this set that just do not feel like they belong in SpeedDuel. So that's going to be interesting to see how that clashes with the format as a whole. Alright, let's go ahead and finish up now. Onto the miscellaneous cards. We can see some of the Noah support with the Shinado with its ritual spell, the Hino Kagetsushi. That's a cool card. I'm glad to see that here. I would have liked to have seen the Yamada Dragon as well, but you know, it's fine. The Otobi Hime and the Asura Priest. I'm happy to see Asura Priest. However, I would have preferred this to be replaced with like Tsukuyomi instead, because I feel like Tsukuyomi is a really interesting card for the format as a whole. In addition, we also have the sort of Kusanagi, but it's like a kind of like a whatever card in my opinion, just because it's for ritual spirit monsters. My bad. So it's neat. I don't hate the support for Noah. I still think that they should have done a virtual world set as a whole, just because there's a lot more cards that I would have loved to see printed as well. But as far as like a small sample size goes, this isn't the worst. I would have loved to see other cards though. Moving down some more, but just Valkyrie is an interesting choice. I don't think anyone was asking for this card, but you know what? It's here. This is insane. I can't believe we actually got Witch of the Black Forest and Sengan. Sengan was reasonable. However, Witch is going to be a staple, guys. Witch searches for pretty much everything in the format, typically. It's just searching for stuff with 1500 life points or less is very, very broad, and it's just one of the best searchers before it got like neutered with its errata. But nevertheless, I think its card's gonna be great in speed duels. Let's move down some more. Fire Sorceress, don't really care. Shining Angel, that's really cool to see. I'm glad to see that they actually ended up printing it. And also Mystic Tomato. These are like the last recruiters that were missing, if I'm not wrong. So I'm really happy to see them here. Injection Fairy Lily, I'm not surprised that it's in the miscellaneous pile, just because it didn't really fit any character, so I'm glad to see that there. Nightmare Penguin, that's kind of a funny card. Angel 1, Guardian Light, okay. Spear Reaper, that's kind of a wild pick there. Again, Spirit Reaper falls in the same line as like the Millennium card that I was talking about, where it just doesn't feel like it belongs in SpeedDuel because of how it behaves. Spirit Reaper is gonna be an interesting card to see how people deal with in the format. So we did already get the full, so Reaper should probably be fine, but we'll see. Thunderball's kind of neat. Orgon, the Relentless. I guess this is our Duke's support, so that's kind of funny. Flying Kamakiri. Was this card not in the format already? Not sure. If not, cool to see it, I guess. I don't really care. Let's move down. Primaterial Dragons, neat card. Mobius, that's huge. Tribe is insane. Oh man. I feel like it was only a couple years ago that this ended up coming off the ban list in the TCG. So just to put it into perspective. It didn't even receive a Narada either, so I'm expecting this card to be ridiculous in the format as well. So I guess we'll see how dominant it becomes. It's gonna be at least a side deck staple, if not anything else. Kindle Swamp, really cool card to see. I'm happy to see this. It's long overdue, in my opinion, so that's gonna be great for fusion strategies moving forward. Melody, that's an interesting pick. I was not expecting for Blue Eyes or Dragons in general just to get this much support. So that's kind of neat to see. Breakthrough Skill, was expecting Kaiba to get it though, so that's surprising. And last few cards: Red Eyes, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and Max C. I don't understand why Red Eyes Black Dragon is here. I mean, I guess maybe they just want to give us the alt art, which is honestly one of the worst arts for Red Eyes in my opinion. I'm just sick and tired of seeing this art specifically. But, you know, whatever. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon is a neat reprint to see. And Maxi, no one asked for Maxi. So, there's that. Yeah, so as a whole, I have a lot of mixed feelings regarding this set. I feel like there's a lot of really wild picks, as you can see. This set feels really strong. I can definitely see some people being upset with some of the picks they ended up making, just because there are quite a few reprints that are very reminiscent of the original Battle City box. But as a whole, I think this is a really solid box. In my opinion, this looks like a better box than Streets of Battle City as a whole, just because of the quality of cards we were getting. But in addition, I feel like it's printing a ton. And I mean a ton of very problematic cards that are going to be... they're going to make their presence felt in the format. Very much so. But yeah, honestly, I'm pretty excited for this set. I'm happy that at least the last set we're getting, it's gonna go out with a bang. It's unfortunate that we're not gonna be getting any more SpeedDuel product, but at least this is a pretty good set to go out on. Is it gonna be my favorite? Probably not. I can possibly see it happening, but I'd have to play with it and see how I feel with it once it actually comes out. But yeah, those are all my thoughts. In the comment section below, let me know. Are you excited for this set? Are you disappointed with the cards they chose? Are you happy with the cards they chose? And do you think I'm like overreacting to some of the cards that was just blowing my mind being introduced? I think that there's a lot of cards that just don't feel like they belong, but that's just me though. All right, all your thoughts leave it in the comment section below. I'll go ahead and answer everyone in the comment section. I always love hearing your guys' thoughts. So with all that being said, guys, if you did end up enjoying today's video, then a like would be very much appreciated, and a subscribe as well. I am trying to get the channel to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, and I can do it with their help. All right, guys, I've been Topsy. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.